Hello students, welcome to the video tutorial of Informatics Practices for class 12. Today we'll be discussing the first part of the chapter Introduction to the Internet and Web. Students, as you know, that in today's modern era, our life is totally surrounded by the internet. So whatever the things, whatever the work is there, it's totally dependent over the internet nowadays. Okay, even if for a small sharing of a single message also, now people are going to use the internet. Okay, so internet is basically a part and parcel of the life in today's modern era. Okay, so now let's see what is there to be discussed in this chapter. So following are the outlines and the topics of the chapter. That is, first we'll be discussing about the introduction. Okay. Then what is the internet? We'll be discussing about the introduction to the internet. Then World Wide Web we'll be discussing. Then we'll be discussing about the web servers. Then the URLs. Then the websites. Then web pages, web browsers, internet applications, chat. Then VoIP, that is the voice over internet protocol. Okay. So let's start from the introduction part first. As we know all that the reach of the internet in our lives and society is simply incalculable. As you know that already we are saying that it is incalculable because there is a too much dependency over the internet nowadays. For even of us talking about a single person or talking about a total society. Okay, so televisions programs cover it, newspapers and magazines write about it. Every other person is using it, and so forth. Even the presidents, the vice presidents, and the prime ministers of various countries have cut a presence on the internet or net in short. So you can see that it is covering the small individuals to a whole nation's president or the vice presidents or the prime ministers. Okay, so you can understand that how much dependency of internet is there in today's modern era. Okay, so in this chapter, we shall talk about the internet and the web, which generally people think is the other name of the internet, but which is not. Yes, it is an important point that the mostly people used to think that the web is actually the internet. Okay, so these are I cannot say that it is completely different term, but yeah, they are different terms. Okay, they can be related to some of the topics, some of the fields, some of the areas, but you cannot say that they are entirely the same thing. Okay, the internet and the web is are the different topics or the different fields we are talking about. Okay, so we'll be discussing in details that what is the difference between them. Now let's move forward. Moving to the introduction part, that introduction to the internet. So internet is a computer-based worldwide information network. As you know that we have already discussed about the network. The network is the interchange of exchange of information from one individual to other individuals. So what is internet? Internet is basic the network of networks. Okay, so if different small networks are created globally and we are trying to connect all those global networks to a single network, that is the internet. Okay, so what internet is basically doing, it is connecting several small networks at different remote areas and connecting them at one place, and that storing all the information about them at one place, that is server place, and then giving that source of information to each individual of this world. That is what the internet is doing. Okay, so it is said that it can be assumed as an example of WAN, wide area network. Already we have discussed about wide area network in the previous chapter. So internet is composed of a large number of small interconnected networks. These networks may be linked tens and hundreds or thousands of computers. Okay, so these networks can link for 10 to 15 computers also, or they can link to up to thousands of computers also. Okay, so it is not a single transmission between two, three, four individuals. Actually, it is a global sharing of information. Okay, so these networks may link tens, hundreds, or thousands of computers, enabling them to share information with each other and to share various resources such as powerful supercomputers and databases. Okay, you are knowing all these things. Okay, each connected individual can communicate with anyone else on the internet, can publish ideas, and can sell products with a minimum overhead cost. Okay, so you know that we can promote different brands also. Okay, so all these things are possible with the help of this internet. Now let's move on to the next part, that is the history of the internet, that how this internet came into existence. So the seeds of the internet were planted in 1969 when US Department of Defense sponsored a project named ARPANET. Okay, the full form of ARPANET is Advanced Research Project Agency Network. Okay, so this was the first seed for the internet. This was the idea of the internet, how this world of internet came into existence. Okay, so in mid 80s, another federal agency, the National Science Foundation, created a new high capacity network called NSFNet. Okay, so this was basically advanced feature of this ARPANET. So this was known as the NSFNet. Okay, so the earlier seed was shown with the help of this ARPANET, that does the Advanced Research Project Agency Network, and then the later on we got the NSFNet, that is the National Science Foundation Network. Okay, and obviously it was more capable than the ARPANET. So it was the internetworking, that is the linking of these two and some other networks. Okay, that is the ARPANET, NSFNet, and some other private networks. So this NSFNet was doing some internet working. In this, the ARPANET was there, the NSFNet was there, and some other private networks were there, which were internetworked. Okay, so it was interlinked, and the name came into existence, that internet. Okay, why? Because they were interconnecting some few networks. Okay. The original ARPANET was shut down in 1990 and the government funding for NSFNet discontinued in 1995, but the commercial internet services came into picture, which are still running the internet. So after the discontinuation of this NSFNet and ARPANET, commercial use of internet became popular, and that you can say that it grew up, and several individuals started thinking that, yeah, and several business organizations also thought that, yeah, this can be a great work if we work on these projects. Okay, so this internet became commercialized from there, and that commercial internet services are still running. So here you can see there is a definition of internet. Internet is a computer-based worldwide communication network which is composed of large number of smaller interconnected networks. So it is made up of small number of small interconnected networks. Okay. Now let's see some advantages of the internet. That what are the different advantages? The first thing is the greater access to information reduces research times. Obviously, before the internet, we had to access the books for the information, or we had to ask people for the information. So obviously, it was going to take too much time to get a certain set of knowledge or information. So because of the internet, we are having greater access to information, which has reduced the research times. Okay. Useful communication links. Now you have got some trusted communication links also. By this, you can share certain set of informations within seconds or fractions of seconds. Next thing is the global reach enables one to connect anyone on the internet. Obviously, if your friend is sitting in US or some other place in UK or somewhere else, you can contact them by sitting here in India. Okay, so why? Because you are having a global internet connection. So it has given you the power or to access the information from a, far remote area from the globe of the and you're getting that information here in at your local place. Okay, easy communication with other people. Okay, now also you know that it is not very difficult to talk to others, not difficult to chat with others. It is very easy platform to communicate. Okay, publishing documents on the internet saves paper. Obviously, earlier what was happening, that if a certain set of information has to be shared to the individuals, either they have to be written in the book or they are printed in the newspapers or somewhere else, and that set of information were means then distributed to different places. Okay, but now since this internet has evolved, the information can be just published on the internet, and the people can view that information on their smartphones and the smart devices. Okay, the tablets or the PCs or somewhere else. Okay, a valuable resource for companies to advertise and conduct business. Now, because of the growth of the internet, now companies don't have to go for in means advertisement in the big hoardings or somewhere else. Now they are advertising those products on the internet itself. Okay, so people who are using the internet, they are able to get the recognition of these companies, and obviously their business is improving day and day. Now also let's see the flip part of this coin. Okay, obviously there are advantages and disadvantages terms also. So now let's see what are the different disadvantages of the internet. Now because of the internet, cyber frauds have taken place. Okay, Now, the cyber frauds may take place involving credit, debit card numbers, and details. Now you are aware of these cyber frauds also, that people who are not means too much aware of the internet, what they do, they share their OTPs and somewhere all these things. Okay, so the cyber frauds have now means grown because of the internet. Earlier this internet was not there, so the online shopping was also not there. So what people were doing, they were having the cards with their own, so there were risks. So sorry, you can say there were minimal risk of cyber frauds at that places at that time. Okay, but nowadays you can see that people who are using this internet connection and they are doing their online shoppings and all, they're using their credit cards or debit cards, so there is a possibility that their passwords could be hacked or their OTPs could be manipulated. All these things can be done. Okay, so why these things are happening? Because of the disadvantage of the internet. Okay, hackers are there who can hack into their security and then break through that particular you can say security gates, and they can get the access of your informations. Okay, even if they can fool you by giving certain set of messages that you have won a particular set of lotteries and all, this amount of lotteries accessible to you, you need to send a password or send a CVV to the particular person, and people are doing those things. Okay, so these are the cyber frauds which are possible because of the internet nowadays. Okay, second thing is the unsuitable and undesirable material available that sometimes are used by notorious people such as terrorists. Okay, now you know that terrorists are also there on the internet. They are also using the social media platforms also to create a feeling of you can say hatred or distrust among the people, among for a particular religion or for a particular group of individuals. Okay, they are hiring people for these notorious activities to hack into the net servers or to create nuisance with the help of the social networking platforms. Okay, so all these things are happening because of the disadvantages of the internet. Next thing is the computer viruses get downloaded and spread across machines connected to the networks and have detrimental effects. Now, obviously, multiple systems are joined with the networks, and even if single system has got the virus from the internet, and if you download a certain set of files, and in that certain set of files, there can be a possibility that it has got an attached viruses. Okay, if you're not accessing from a particular paid websites, there is a chances that there are certain set of viruses in that a particular file you are downloading from any website. So if that viruses get downloaded into a single system and that single system is joined with different networks, so obviously it is going to distribute that virus into multiple systems. Okay, that has also created a problem here. Okay, much of the information isn't checked and may be incorrect or irrelevant. Now, yes, this is an important factor because generally what we think that whatever thing is mentioned on the internet is correct. Okay, but you have to think about these things because whatever the things are published on the internet, it is published by the individuals only. Okay, so there is a possibility that people are putting some fake news or fraud news over the internet, and people who are reading that articles, they are easily manipulated by those articles. So you have to check and verify whether the particular set of information is correct or relevant. Okay, there is a possibility that the information is manipulated and it has been circulated to create confusions among the you can say mass. Okay, so you have to be careful whether the information is correct or not. You have to verify those information because you know that fraud news means just gets spread too quickly. Okay, much of the information is unchecked and may be incorrect or irrelevant. Messages sent across the internet can be easily intercepted and are open to abuse by others. Now you are knowing these things also, that whatever the internet messages you are sending, that can be easily intercepted and are open to abuse by others. They can see your messages, that is prone to attacks. Okay, that can be worth, means you can say that can be a medium for abusing others. Okay, too much time is spent on the internet could result in a lack of face-to-face interaction with the others and loss of social skills. These things we are already seeing, we are witnessing these things, that these things are happening, that we are spending too much time on the internet, and yes, because of that, there is a lack of face-to-face interaction with others. Earlier, people used to interact too much in their families and friends, so there was too much social relation between them. Okay, so they were emotionally and you can say mentally too much attached with their relatives and all. These relations are losing because of this less face-to-face interaction because of the internet growth. Okay, we are generally spending our too much time over the internet, reading some, searching for some news feeds or some articles, or even enjoying the videos. And you know that they are so much means they have been created in such a way that it just keep on rotating and keep on means you have to just scroll down and you are getting new and new videos and news feeds. Okay, so it is just taking you too much time to get the free time from the internet. You are always you are busy on this internet. So yes, obviously it is a disadvantage. Okay, now the next thing is going on line runs the risk of hackers or viruses being able to damage your computer. All these things you are knowing only that hackers are too much active on the internet, so they are using their means the loopholes of the internet and they are creating viruses. They are getting your information and accessing your means personal data. Okay, so utilize this against you. Okay, the next thing is the World Wide Web. From the 1960s to the early 1990s, the Internet was a communication and research tool used almost exclusively for academic and military purposes. I have already told that it was developed by the US Army earlier. So it was means you can say from 1960s to 1990s, it was limited for the military purposes only. Okay, this changed radically with the introduction of the World Wide Web or Web in short in 1989. From 1989, this World Wide Web developed. The World Wide Web is a set of programs, standards, and protocols governing the way in which multimedia files are created and displayed on the internet. Now, what is this World Wide Web? This World Wide Web is a set of programs. Okay, it is a set of programs or standards which have been created, or the protocols you can say, which have been created to govern the way in which the multimedia files. What is meant by multimedia files? These multimedia files are the documents that contain a combination of text, photographs, graphics, videos, and audios. Okay, you are already knowing that. You are saying that now that this is the multimedia phone. This is support these type of videos and the graphics and everything. Okay, so www or the World Wide Web has been set for means governing the way in which these files can be viewed, okay, are created and displayed on the net, how they will be created and how they will be displayed on the internet. Okay, so this is governed by this World Wide Web. Okay, here also you have got a definition. The World Wide Web is a set of programs, standards, and protocols that allow the multimedia and hypertext files. Hypertext you are already knowing, you have studied about HTML also in class 9th and 10th, so you are knowing about this hypertext files. So hypertext files to be created and displayed and linked on the internet. That how these hypertext files can be created or how they can be displayed, so that the links generated can be visited from one link to the different link and then keep on rotating with these. Okay, so you can access certain set of information which have been created as separate web pages, and because of this World Wide Web you are able to access those web pages and the informations. Okay, the next thing is the web servers. So already you are knowing what is a server. Server means which is sending you some information or serving you some information. But here we are talking about the web server. So what is a web server? A web server is a www server that stores web documents and responds to the requests made by the web browsers. So a web server is going to handle the web client. Okay. So whatever the web browsers or the web clients are having the request, they are sending the request to these web servers and the web servers are receiving that request. Okay, and they are sending the particular data according to the need. Okay, to the particular web clients. Okay, so the web server is also called the www server. Okay, so web servers are generally programs or softwares that wait for the request from the web browsers. Okay, so they are having certain set of information, but they are only going to give that information once if someone is going to ask for that information. So that web client or the web means you can say the users, if they are asking for the information, they are going to pay a request to this web server, and then web server will get the ID and means the address from which that information is coming, and they are sending that information to that particular client. Okay, now here you can see web servers are generally program software that wait for the requests from the web servers. Some examples of the web servers are the Apache, IIS, Nginx, the GWS, and NetSide. Okay, so these are the different web servers available in the market. Okay. Now the next thing is there the difference between a server and a web server. Obviously, I've told you that server and web servers are different things. You can say web server is a type of server. Okay, the servers are not limited to the web servers only. The servers can be different types, like the file server, the mail server. Okay, but the web server is a type of a server. Okay, so web server is going to handle only the web clients. Okay, or the web browsers request. But the server can handle different types of requests. A server serves requests mainly related to the resources on the network, such as the sharing a source like printer or sharing storage, etc. Okay, so all these things, the sharing of the storage or sharing of the resource, can be done with the server. Okay, the printing task and everything. So all these belongs under this server. Okay, whenever you are asking for a single set of information and someone is providing you that information, then that is going to act as a server. Okay, so on the systems or the computers, whatever information you are getting from a particular thing, and that is coming from a particular server only. Okay, but when you are talking about the web server, that web server is going to provide you the information from the web pages. Okay, so web servers are going to access your information according to the request, and then they will send you the particular data as per the need. Okay, now here one thing is to be noted is that a server is a computer that has server software loaded on it. Okay, its main job is to share resources for clients. On the other hand, a web server is a specific protocol type of server looking only for HTTP requests instead of many different types of resource requests. Now you know the full form of HTTP, that is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So it is going to access these protocols only. Okay, so it is limited. That is, the web server is limited to this HTTP request only. Okay, but when we are talking about the server, so server has a server software loaded on it. So whatever the request is going to come to that server, server is going to respond. Okay, so its main job is to share resources for clients. Okay, now let's see what are the different services provided by a server. As you already know that a server is computer dedicated for managing network resources. It is responsible for handling the requests related to the resources on the network. Now let's see the first service, that is the equipment slash resource sharing. Now high quality printers and the photocopiers are often designed to connect directly to a network, and all authorized users can share the equipment. You know these things. Okay, that is the resource sharing. Then the centralized file sharing for data sharing. Centralized, you know that all the thing is being handled by a single centralized system. Okay, so servers help the user save files to their own directories on the file server. Workers can load the documents on any network computer. Okay, so whatever system they are working upon, that is not too much important. Whatever the information is there, that is going to be stored on a single centralized server. Okay, may be possible, it may be a possibility that 50 or 100 people are working in the particular company, and each individual is working on their own system. Okay, so what they are doing, they are saving their all works at a centralized data sharing center. Okay, so whatever the information is there, it is being saved on a single centralized server. So what this centralized server is going to do, whatever the accessing of the files will be there, it will be done by this centralized server. Getting it? So it is also a service provided by a server. Now the next thing is the centralized virus scanning. This also you can understand that most file servers run virus scanners constantly to detect and take care of virus introduced by any user on any computer. So whatever the systems are being joined with a network, this centralized virus scanning will check whether there is a problem with the virus downloading or not. If someone has downloaded a certain set of virus, it will alert you from the antivirus scan and just ask you to remove that. Okay, or even it can remove it by its own, and it will inform you that yes, this server or this malicious file was detected and it has been removed. Okay, also the centralized backup can be done by this servers only. High capacity tape devices in the file servers backup all users work, that only I have mentioned earlier also, that all the users who are working in the company, they can send backup their all work at this centralized backup systems. Okay, so lost work can be recovered quickly and easily. They don't have to create backups on their own individual systems. All this will be backed on a particular centralized backup system. Okay, so all these things can be provided with the help of the services of the server. So if the server is not there in the existence, these all functionalities which I have provided you cannot be accessed. Okay, is also mentioned here, the software that turns a computer into a web server are called web server software. So what software is required for turning a computer into web server, that software is mentioned as the web server software. The examples of these web server softwares include the Apache Web Server, Apache Tomcat, Web Server IIS, Lightpad, and several other systems. Okay, so these are the softwares which are going to help you in create turning a single simple computer into a web server. Okay, I think that's enough for today, students. We'll discuss about the URLs on the next videos. Till then, take care and do revise these chapters, and also keep on using the internet. Thank you, students.